What's going on, everybody? It's Unboxing Reviews here, and welcome back to another LEGO DC Supervillains video. So in today's video, I'm of course going to be showing you guys how to make Namor from Marvel Comics using the in-game customizer. So without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so to start off with, we're of course going to head into Appearance, Head, Preset Head, and we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom until we find Malcolm Merlin's head, which is of course this one right here. Personally, I think this head is absolutely perfect for Namor, and I highly recommend that you use it. Now then, once you've done that, you're of course going to back out of there, go into Hair, and we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom until we find Beast Boy's hairstyle. Now this piece is brilliant because you can change two colours. So for the first colour, we're going to go with black for the hair, and the second color we're of course going to match the skin tone, and you can see already that is starting to look like Namor just got out of prison or something. It just looks really accurate, which is awesome. Now then, onto the body. So we're going to go with a preset body, and you're going to scroll all the way to the top until you find Bane's body right here. Now here's the thing, I'm going to be doing a trick here, but I have to give a massive shout out to Marvel Unifan on Twitter for pointing this out to me, because it is a really cool thing to know. So basically, once you've selected a body like Bane's, you want to back out of there, go into Body, Custom Body, and you want to choose Body 5. Now, instead of pressing X, press Square, and you can see here we now have a body that is the same skin tone as the head, which is awesome. Now, what you don't want to do is select anything on color 1, but for color 2, we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom here and select this color right here, so now we have some muscles. And you can see this is a really useful trick to know, because then we can make some really cool characters that we couldn't previously. Now then, onto the arms. So for the arms, I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom here until we find Dr. Fate's, and we're of course going to make it the same skin tone here. There's a lot of arms like this, but I thought these ones fit Namor the best, so I'm going to stick with it. Now, for the hips, you could go ahead and just make them green, like this. However, if you have the new Aquaman movie level pack part 2, you can go with Aquaman's hips like this and go with this color. And you can see here, that is perfect. It's got the detail and everything. It's not just, you know, simple blank hips. It just looks so much better, especially when we go with the legs and make them the same skin tone as the body, arms, and head. You can see, look at that. That is Namor right there, which is really cool. Again, if you don't have that DLC, don't worry about it, just use green hips, but if you do, it makes this character creation look so much more detailed. Now then, onto the effects. So we don't want a left-hand glow or a right-hand glow, but for the hit impact effects, we're going to turn that on. We'll go with style 1, and we'll just go ahead and make the color black, so there's not really an effect there. But for the jump slam effect, we'll turn that on. We'll make sure it's style 2, like this, there we go. And then for the color, we're going to go ahead and make it this bright blue, like here, because that is very similar to the way that Aquaman's powers appear in this game. Now then, onto weapons. Now usually I'd wait till near the end of the creative process to show you which weapons you need for a custom character, but in Namor's case, his powers are going to be tied to this weapon, so we need it right now. So what you're going to do is you're going to scroll down to staves, staff type, and you want to go ahead and choose a trident and make it this color right here. Now I know that isn't 100% accurate to what Namor actually has in the comics, but it's definitely the best out of the options that we have in this customizer, and I think it looks really cool. Now then, onto the abilities. So we don't need to add anything to the tag button, but for the jump button, we're going to go to double tap X and give Namor the flight ability, because of course in the comics he has wings on his ankles, which unfortunately we can't add with decals or anything like that, but hey, at least we can still give him the ability to fly. And while we're at it, we'll of course add the hyper jump ability on hold X, because that is awesome. Now then, for tap square, originally my plan was to give him the ability to shoot water bolts from his trident, but unfortunately that is just not working for me at the moment. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to go to hold square and just give him the lunge attack ability. So we'll turn that on and go with lunge style 3, because you can see there he can fly towards an enemy to attack them, which is awesome. Now then, onto the circle button abilities. So for tap circle, I went with the force field ability, so we'll turn that on, go with force field style 2, and we're going to make it this color right here, because I think that is a fairly decent recreation of how the water force fields look in the main game from Aquaman and and Mera and characters like that. And the thing is, you can see here, there's a very weird black effect that goes around the water force field. Well, the great thing about this is it doesn't actually show up when you're playing the game. So if you're in a level or free roam or pretty much anywhere in LEGO DC Supervillains, this black effect just is not there. So I have no idea why it shows up in the customizer, but at least it doesn't show up when you're actually playing the game, because obviously that would ruin the effect. And finally, we're going to go ahead and go into hold circle, go to beam, turn that on, make sure the beam style is 3, make sure the color is white because that is the color of the water beams from characters like Aquaman and things like that in the main game. For the beam type, we're going to go with a heat beam, and then for the origin, you of course want it to come from the trident, which is awesome. So unfortunately, like I said, I can't seem to get it working where we can shoot water bolts from the trident, but at least we can have a water beam shoot from it instead, which is really cool. Now then, on to the skills. Now for skills, I gave Namor a lot of them, so we don't need a grapple, but we definitely want technology because he's a very smart guy. We're also going to add acrobatics, mind control, yes, because in the comics he has this thing called aquatic telepathy, so I think that makes a lot of sense. And we're going to go with this color right here because that looks cool. You can go with a different blue if you want to. We're not going to add telekinesis. We do want wall climbing, smash walls, super strength. We won't add that, but we will have the beam deflectability because he has the trident, so I think that makes a lot of sense. No Tagoon command, x-ray, graffiti, tracking, hazard protection. I think that makes sense if we give him that, because in the comics he actually has radiation absorption, so if he was to walk into hazards in the game, it wouldn't harm him because he has that ability. So I think that definitely makes a lot of sense. We'll leave illumination and we'll leave stealth. Nice. Now then, on to the personality. So for the health icon, I went with teal. I thought that looked really cool. For the health type, we'll just stick with standard health. For the voice, just choose any male voice. For the speed, go with normal. For the target reticle, I'd probably suggest going with Captain Cold's because it's literally the closest to water that we have in these options. And finally, for the animation, just stick with normal because obviously we already have a weapon which overrides that animation anyway, so we don't really need to mess around with that. Alright, cool. So we've done the appearance, the effects, the abilities, the personality, and the weapons. So now all we need to do is fill in the basic information. So for the status, we'll go with hero. For the affiliation, let's see, is there anything in here that relates to Aquaman? I wonder. Let's have a look. Oh, here we go, Atlanteans. We'll have that. That makes sense. Yeah, so we'll have Atlanteans. And finally, we're going to name him. And of course, the name is Namor. I don't think the rest of it would fit, so we'll just put Namor. Nice. Alright, cool. So now, of course, what we're going to do is drop Namor into the hub world and see just what he can do. And here he is. This is, of course, my custom-made Namor made in LEGO DC Supervillains. Let's just get a good look at him right here. Now, I am very happy with the way that this character turned out. I mean, it looks like Namor, which I cannot believe I was able to pull off. And here's the thing. When I originally made this design, the hips were just green. But, of course, with the new Aquaman movie level pack part 2, we got the brand new Aquaman movie costume design. And with that design, they have these hips here, which are a little bit more detailed than just having plain old green hips, and I just think that really brings the design together. It just looks so much better. That, and of course, you know, the armbands and everything. So this looks really, really cool. The only thing I would say it's missing is probably the wings on his ankles, but there's nothing like that, at least not yet. Hopefully with future DLCs, maybe we'll be able to add something onto the legs, but really it's not that much of a big deal because, of course, we can still at least allow him to fly, which is awesome. But what else can he do? Well, if we run over here, we can attack these boxes like this. I'm not sure why that suddenly exploded there. There we go. So we can attack with our trident, which is awesome. We can also charge attack like this, so we can... There we are. Nice. I gave him the flight animation for the charging attacks, so it's like he's, you know, charging towards something using the wings on his ankles, basically. So just makes it look like he's flying. Nice, that looks really cool. We've also got a water force field like that, which is very nice. I believe that is the water one. I was looking at Aquaman for reference, you know, to see how his abilities look, so we could basically copy them for Namor, and I think that's fairly accurate to the way that his looks in the game. We've also got this water beam, which is very cool and makes you feel a lot more like Namor, which is great. And of course, we've got this ability right here where you jump slam, and it didn't leave a crack there. Let me try it again. Yeah, there we go, nice. So we leave that crack in the ground, which Aquaman also has. So I think he's pretty cool. So let's actually go fight the police as Namor. Right, let's start off here. Right, come on, let's get some notoriety going. That person freezed for a second there. So the reason that I've decided to make Namor is because Marvel are doing this Fantastic Four week. I think it's called World's Greatest Week for the Fantastic Four, basically. And what they're doing is essentially celebrating the Fantastic Four, because I think it might have been last year they returned to comics, and it was pretty much a big deal, and I think it was a well-received comic. And so since that happened, they've went, okay, well, now we're going to make more comics with the Fantastic Four, which is great. And we're also going to be adding the Fantastic Four to video games, which personally I think is the biggest deal here, because the fact is, the Thing has just been added to Marvel Contest of Champions, I believe, but the rest of the Fantastic Four are going to be added over the course of this year, basically. Future Fight, Marvel Future Fight, that now has all of the Fantastic Four, and I think Doctor Doom as well. They've also added Puzzle Quest. I think they've added all the Fantastic Four to that as well. And for Strike Force, there's this new Doctor Doom campaign, and the Doctor Doom design in that mobile game looks really cool. I'd love to see something similar in the MCU. But the Fantastic Four haven't been added to that game yet, but they have said they're coming. It's just Doom is kind of a hint at what's to come. Now, those are all mobile games. And I think one of the things that yesterday a lot of people were focusing on was the fact that, you know, mobile games were getting the Fantastic Four. But what I think is important is the fact that it's not just about mobile games, it's the fact that the Fantastic Four can appear in Marvel games in general now. I mean, at the very end of that live stream, yesterday, the World's Greatest Week live stream, or World's Greatest Day in that case, they actually teased that something fantastic is coming to Marvel Spider-Man for PS4. So yet again, that also shows that Marvel games, you know, they're not restricted to using the Fantastic Four in just mobile games. It also counts for console games as well. And what great timing this is, of course, with the Fox and Disney deal near completion. I think it's nearly done. I think it'll probably be done by the end of the year. Definitely this year. So yeah, we're definitely going to start seeing the Fantastic Four and a lot of new stuff. Very excited to see whatever they have planned for Spider-Man. I mean, that could be anything. It really could. I've seen a lot of ideas floating around. Like, some people have said, oh, it'd be amazing if they added the Baxter Building to the game. Maybe it replaced Fisk Tower. That would be pretty cool. Races with Johnny Storm as like a reference to Ultimate Spider-Man. You know, a nice little throwback to that game. That would be awesome as well. And of course, costumes. You know, there's so many costumes. They could have the What If one, which is essentially Peter in a Fantastic Four costume. They could have Future Foundation, the reverse one, and my personal favorite, Bombastic Bagman. Give me that suit. That would be amazing. However, I read something on Reddit recently, and somebody had a good idea. They said they shouldn't add that suit to the game. They should maybe hold back and wait for the sequel, because then what they can do is when Peter gets the symbiote in the sequel, when he gets rid of it at the end, he could get rid of it at the Baxter Building, and then Johnny gives him the Bombastic Bagman suit to go home in. That would be pretty sweet. That would be really, really awesome and a nice throwback to the comics, but we'll have to see. I mean, that game is definitely a good while away. Yeah, definitely. Alright, we need to find some more bad guys. I feel like this is the best area to fight enemies in. It's the brightest, you know, I wanted that. I kind of wish that there was some sort of underwater area, because originally what I was going to do for this video is show off Namor in the Aquaman level. One of the Aquaman levels, but the problem is, because this is a custom character, when you play as my custom Namor, it actually gives you some like scuba equipment, so it makes sense that they can actually swim underwater and breathe underwater, and we don't want that for Namor because he can do that anyway. He doesn't need that kind of equipment, so I decided to just show him in the open world anyway. But yeah, one of the things I'm most excited about with Marvel games now, after yesterday, is yes, the Fantastic Four are coming to, you know, all these mobile titles, which is great, and of course, you know, I've already said it's coming to something fantastic is coming to Spider-Man. The thing that I'm most excited about is Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, because I think that is a game that's going to be awesome. I am genuinely really looking forward to that game, and now knowing that the Fantastic Four can be used in Marvel games, I am fairly certain that they're all going to be in that game. They have to be. They have to be. I mean, it just makes perfect sense. Why leave them out in what will probably be Marvel's biggest game this year? Definitely. So I do think they're going to be in it. A lot of people are kind of concerned. I saw after the live stream, people were like, why why didn't they announce them there? Well, obviously the game was just announced last month, as early as last month. I think it was like, was the Game Awards like December 8th or something? It was something like that. It was very early in December is when the Game Awards were, and that was when they announced Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. So obviously they're not going to give away the entire roster for a game that doesn't even have a release date yet. We know it's coming out this year, but we don't know what month. I think it would probably be like October or something similar to Marvel Spider-Man, like September or October, but we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm definitely thinking the Fantastic Four are going to be in the game, and if that's the case, then I think Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 has the potential to be the biggest game in the series. Because if you think about it, we've already got the Avengers, and we've already got the Guardians of the Galaxy. We saw Wolverine, and they've promised that there's more X-Men, obviously. You can't just have Wolverine, because they have said there's X-Men in the game. If it was just Wolverine, it would be X-Man. And the fact that one of the missions takes place at the X-Mansion just, you know, supports that theory even more. Then we got the Inhumans, so we got Crystal and Lockjaw, who we already saw in the trailer. I think they're going to be one character, though, kind of like Rocket and Groot. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but we'll have to see. But obviously with them, I think that means we'll see Medusa and Black Bolt as well. There's like references, like, what is it, not references, there's an appearance from the Hand, which could hint to Daredevil, Elektra, Iron Fist, you know, tons of characters, and then of course, you know, there's the Fantastic Four. So if you have all of those characters that are in the game, you know, adding the Fantastic Four if they do make it, that sounds like the biggest Marvel Ultimate Alliance to date. It really does. That's a lot of characters. There's already a ton of Avengers in the game, so if they can fill all those in as well, it's going to be a pretty big game. I'm hoping that once they start showing more mutants and Fantastic Four and things, people will start having more faith in Marvel Ultimate Alliance, because I think, you know, a lot of people aren't that excited at the moment about that game. I mean, I've seen people that are excited. There's definitely hype around Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, but there's a lot of people that are unsure. You know, they think there's too much of an influence on the MCU. And I think that's really going to change. I think we're starting to return... I think we're going to get a return to form with Marvel games in the next few years, basically. You know, for the past, what is it, like 4 or 5 years now, we've had no Fantastic Four and no X-Men in Marvel games. They've been very restricted, and now that's no longer a thing. With the Disney-Fox deal nearly finished, we're going to get to see the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the Inhumans, the Avengers, Spider-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, Defenders, all in the same game, and I couldn't be more excited about that. But yeah, as you can tell, I'm really excited about all this Fantastic Four news that's coming out this week. It's just awesome, it really is. The Fantastic Four have always been one of my favourite teams in Marvel. I really do love the Fantastic Four, especially the Human Torch. I mean, he is just awesome. Definitely my favourite member of the team. So to see that they're coming back to games, it's a big deal. It really is. It's a massive thing. And I can't wait to see what other games they come to, whether it be the Avengers project or if the Fantastic Four get their very own standalone game. Now that would be interesting. But we'll have to see. Definitely. But it is really, really exciting time. And of course, you know, you never know. By the end of the year, we might even get a Fantastic Four movie announcement for the MCU, which I've got to say would be pretty crazy. I mean, we all want the Fantastic Four to join the MCU. I think that's going to happen probably before Mutants, because I think with the Fantastic Four, they might do something similar to Captain Marvel, where they say that they've been trapped somewhere. Maybe they've been trapped in the negative zone, like since, I don't know, the 80s? Something like that? Maybe even the 60s, who knows? Maybe they'll go like, maybe Reed knew Hank, you know, Hank Pym. Like, there's so many ways they could go about doing that, but I definitely think the Fantastic Four are going to come before the X-Men, because the X-Men require a lot more planting of seeds, basically. I think you're going to get a lot more hints to them in future movies, and then we'll lead up to, yes, we're getting the X-Men. Or maybe we'll lead up to like a solo film first. Maybe we'll get like a Wolverine movie or a Cyclops movie, and then we'll get the X-Men. I mean, there's countless ways they could go about doing this. However, in saying that, I really don't think Marvel's going to rush the Fantastic Four and X-Men and all these other characters they have lined up. I think they've even hinted at a Silver Surfer movie, which I've always wanted. I think a Silver Surfer movie would be absolutely incredible. So, you know, I don't think they're going to rush these properties. I really don't. I think they're going to take their time and make them as best as they can be. But at the same time, I think we're going to see them sooner than we expect. And we might get a Phase 4, you know, slate at the end of the year. They may be in it, they may not. We'll have to see. But as one of my friends pointed out on Twitter, it would kind of be a missed opportunity if they didn't do the Fantastic Four in Phase 4. Alright guys, that's pretty much it for this video. Now, we have talked a lot about the future of the Fantastic Four in video games and of course the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But what about Namor? Well, after yesterday, I initially thought that Namor would still be the only character that is off limits in Marvel games. But it turns out that he's actually going to be making an appearance in the new Fantastic Four content in Marvel Puzzle Quest. Now, this to me is extremely exciting news because it could potentially open the door for more appearances from Namor in other Marvel games, such as Contest of Champions, Marvel Future Fight, and most importantly, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order. Now that would be absolutely amazing because he obviously hasn't made an appearance in the Marvel Ultimate Alliance franchise since the original game, and I believe that he was only playable in the Game Boy Advanced port, so it would be so cool to have him as a fully playable character in the latest installment. But of course, we will just have to wait and see. And it'll also be interesting to see what this means for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because I originally thought that Universal were the ones that owned the rights to Namor, but if Marvel is now, you know, wanting to promote that character in their games, perhaps that means that now they have the rights to the character and they are just waiting for the right opportunity to introduce him. Personally, I think it would be really cool if we do see him in a Black Panther sequel, maybe not the second one, but perhaps the third one, because it would be awesome to have a war on screen with the Atlanteans and the Wakandans. That would just be epic, and probably a better way to introduce Namor rather than just giving him his own movie, because I think one of the most important things after the Aquaman movie, which I absolutely loved, is that Marvel has to differentiate themselves from that character. They really have to show the public that Namor isn't just a Marvel version of Aquaman, basically, which is going to be tough because they are very similar characters and I love them both more. I would say that I love Aquaman more. I think Aquaman is an awesome character, but I'm very curious to see how Marvel bring Namor to the big screen. But hopefully he's still a jerk, because that's what makes Namor so special, I think. Anyway guys, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for lots more videos real soon, and as always, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.